الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى خصوصا على أفضله خاتم النبيين محمد الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ونزلنا عليك الكتاب تبيانا لكل شيء وهدى ورحمة وبشرى للمسلمين صدق الله العظيم. We begin in Allah's blessed name. We praise Him, we glorify Him, and we pray to Him and ask of Him for His guidance, for His protection. And we surely live in an age when we need His protection more than ever before. For His guidance, for His protection, and for His blessings, as we attempt to explain using the Book of Allah and using the word of His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Explain the very important subject of an Islamic view of the return of Jesus alayhi salam, Nabi Isa alayhi salam. And we pray for peace and for blessings on all His noble messengers, on our father Adam alayhi salam, and our father Ibrahim alayhi salam, and on Musa alayhi salam, and Isa alayhi salam, and on his mother, the Blessed Virgin Mary alayhi salam, and on the last of all the prophets of Allah, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And we sent down the book, the Quran, sent it down on thee, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sent it down as tibyanan likulli shay. Sent it down that this book might explain all things. That this book will explain that strange age which comes. The sun will never rise on a stranger dunya than that one. When riba will take control of the world. And when riba takes control of the world, then wealth will no longer circulate through the economy. And the rich will remain permanently rich, and the poor will remain permanently poor. This book will explain. University Jahan. This book will explain. This book will explain that strange event, the strangest of all to occur in history. When Banu Israel, after they had been thrown out of the Holy Land, who threw them out? I didn't do it. Allah did. Thrown out of the Holy Land. And for 2,000 years there was a ban on them. They could never return to the Holy Land to reclaim it. And then after 2,000 years, very strangely, very mysteriously, inexplicably, Banu Israel returns to the Holy Land. This book will explain it. No one else can explain it. No one else can explain it. Only this book can explain it. Only this book can explain it. This book will explain. Allah destroyed the state of Israel. For 2,000 years it could not be restored. And then suddenly, strangely, mysteriously, the state of Israel is restored. This book will explain. Praise be to Allah who sent the Quran. May Allah's blessings go upon those who now go to the Quran and make the Quran the supreme guide. Not this man or that man or that man. Make the Quran the supreme guide. May Allah bless such people and increase for them their knowledge and their understanding. An Islamic view of the return of Isa alayhi salam. There are only two people on the face of the earth who believe that Nabi Isa alayhi salam will return. The Christians and the Muslims. No one else. What does the Quran say on this subject? In Surah Al-Nisa, Allah speaks and He records what the Jews said. Are you going to object anybody to what is in the Quran and still be a Muslim? It is in the words of Allah. Whether we understand it or we don't, whether we are comfortable with it or not, whether it fits into our agenda or not, these are the words of Allah. وَقَوْلِهِمْ. They boasted, إِنَّا قَتَلْنَا الْمَسِيحَ عِيسَى ابْنَ مَرْيَمَ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. They boasted, we have killed him. The Messiah, Al-Masih, the son of Mary, the messenger of Allah, we killed him. They boasted. Why were they so happy? Why did they boast? Why did they want him to die like this on the cross? Did he die on the cross? Let the Quran explain. Let us begin with the concept of Al-Masih. The management has asked me to conclude this lecture by 10:30, and I will try. I'll try to finish by 10:30. If I don't, I hope the chairman will give me a little bit more time. But I'll try, inshallah. Al-Masih, the Messiah. Banu Israel had been thrown out of the Holy Land. Babylonian army destroyed. Took them to Babylon as slaves. This is there in Surah Al-Bani Israel, the beginning of the surah. While they were there weeping by the rivers of Babylon, Allah sent His messenger with a promise to them that He would send them a prophet who would be their prophet, not the prophet of George Bush, their prophet. And this prophet would be known as Al-Masih, the Messiah. Don't bother about the meaning of the word. What you're concerned about is the mission and the function of the Messiah. His function is to rule the world from Jerusalem. Like who? Like Sulaiman alayhi salam. And so his function is to bring back, in Bahasa they say, bring back Zaman Nas, the golden age. The golden age. Brother Uthman is here, the Australian, he teaches me some Bahasa. The golden age has come back. If the Messiah is to bring back the Zaman Nas, he will have to do a number of things. Number one, the Holy Land is under Babylonian occupation, so he has to liberate the Holy Land. Okay? Number two, he's got to bring the Jews back to the Holy Land, Banu Israel. Number three, he has to restore the state of Israel, of Sulaiman alayhi salam. And number four, that Israel must become the ruling state in the world, like the Israel of Sulaiman alayhi salam. And then the Messiah must rule the world from Jerusalem. In Sahih Bukhari, the Prophet ﷺ uses only two words to give you a hint that this is true. That when Isa alayhi salam comes back, he will be a hakimun adil. He will be a just ruler. He will rule, meaning rule the world from Jerusalem with justice. Hakimun adil. When Banu Israel suddenly were allowed to come back to the Holy Land. And the masjid which was destroyed was rebuilt because the Persian Empire defeated the Babylonian Empire. Then there was expectancy in the air. The Messiah is coming because Allah made a promise. When Allah sent the Messiah, they rejected him. They rejected him. First of all, a prophet was released, and that prophet began to inform the people that the Messiah is coming. Who is that prophet? Yahya. Mr. Shepherd, you don't answer any questions. Yahya alayhi salam, John the Baptist. He heard all these lectures already. Yahya alayhi salam is announcing to the people the Messiah is coming. And then one day when Isa alayhi salam is now an adult, he comes back to the Holy Land. Prior to this, his mother had taken away. We don't know where. They say he went to Egypt, but we don't know. But now he comes back to the Holy Land. He's an adult. And when he comes back to the Holy Land, he goes in front of that man. Who? Yahya alayhi salam. And then Yahya alayhi salam says, here he is, this is the man you've been waiting for, this is the Messiah. And then Isa alayhi salam says, yes, I am the Messiah. فآمنت طائفة من بني إسرائيل. Then part of the Jews accepted that, believed in him as the Messiah. But they were all the poor people, the poor, the ones who were humble in the heart. وكفر الطائفة. But another part rejected him, the administration, the rabbis, the people who were the rulers, they rejected him. Why did they reject him? He's a bastard, and a bastard can never be the Messiah. Why? His mother, she came with the baby, remember? The baby was in front of her, not behind. She came through the main road, not back street. She came in the daylight, not the night time. And when she came with the baby, she didn't speak. No, silent. She pointed to the baby. Baby defended himself. Baby spoke. This is a simple movie. This is sheer magic, sorcery. Said, no, you've committed that foul deed, zina, fornication. So they said, he's a bastard. I explained in a previous lecture, Jerusalem in the Quran, I explained why Allah sent the Messiah as the son of a virgin mother. But because we have a long subject and time is moving so fast, I can't give that explanation today. When they rejected him, he's not the Messiah. And he still says, yes, I am the Messiah. And many people are following him and accepting him as the Messiah. And then he speaks very powerfully. If it is right, say it is right. If it is wrong, say it is wrong. That is the way you can tell a true leader. A true leader. The one who is on the right path. If it is right, say it is right, regardless of the price you have to pay. If it is wrong, say it is wrong, regardless of the price you have to pay. May Allah make us strong. We will be like that. When he began to denounce them for their wickedness, and in particular for their riba. I have written 2 books on this subject. We hardly have any copies left now, but many of you may have already got them. Please read them. The prohibition of riba in the Quran and Sunnah, and the importance of the prohibition of riba in Islam. Alhamdulillah, the smaller one has now been translated into Bahasa by a sister in Malaysia, and we have some copies in the back of the Bahasa, the importance of the prohibition of riba in Islam. When Isa alayhi salam began to denounce, he went into the masjid, found them engaged in riba. He cursed them. He turned over their tables. Imagine going and doing that in Wall Street today. He chased them out of the temple. What a man. And he declared, you've taken the house of Allah, transformed it into a den of thieves. So they decided he was dying. And when they saw him die on the cross before their very eyes, it happened, they saw him die. When they boasted, now it is confirmed, he could not have been the Messiah. Why? He's dead. Holy Land is under Roman occupation, not liberated. He's dead. The state of Israel has not been restored. He's dead. He didn't rule the world from Jerusalem. He's dead. Zaman Mas has not come back. So he could not have been the Messiah. But there was one more reason. In the Torah, it is still there now in Deuteronomy. It is written, whosoever dies like that has the curse of Allah upon him. And that's how we died. We saw him die. So he has the curse of Allah upon him. And so you stupid people, you foolish people, stop believing in him as the Messiah. And now since they were convinced he could not have been the Messiah, they're waiting for the Messiah to come. They're waiting for the Messiah to come. What was it that happened? No one knew. Until the Quran was revealed, no one knew. When the Quran came down some 600 years later, then Allah said 5 things. Number 1, He said, وَمَا قَتَلُوا. They did not succeed in killing him. No. But then what happened? Because they saw him die before their eyes. Number 2, وَمَا صَلَبُوا. They did not succeed in crucifying him. So he does not have the curse of Allah upon him. Well then, what happened? Number 3, Ya Isa, inni mutawaffika wa rafi'uka ilayya. Surah Ali Imran. O Isa, alayhi salam, I'm going to take your soul. I'm going to take your soul. Wafa, inni mutawaffika. I'm going to take your soul. And I'm going to raise you unto me. If Allah takes his soul, and Allah does not return that soul, then that is called Maut. Maut. And Allah says here, He took the soul. Inni mutawaffi. Is it possible for Allah to take his soul and return it? Is that possible? Because He says he didn't die, they didn't kill him. Let us go to Surah Al-Zumar, in which Allah says, Allahu yatawaffal anfusa hina mawtiha. Allah takes the souls. Allahu yatawaffa. Same word. Allah takes the souls at the time of maut. Allahu yatawaffa al-anfusa hina mawtiha. وَالَّتِي لَمْ تَمُتْ فِي مَنَامِهَا. Those whose souls are not taken while they are awake, Allah takes the souls while they are sleeping. فَيُمْسِكُ الَّتِي قَضَى عَلَيْهَا الْمَوْتِ. When Allah takes the souls that they are sleeping, then for those for whom Maut is ordained, He keeps the soul. What about the others? وَيُرْسِلُ الْأُخْرَى إِلَى أَجَلٍ مُّسَمًّى. But the other souls, He had already taken them. But Maut is not written for them. So Allah returns the souls for a determined period of time. So last time the chairman was sitting. Allah took his soul. Alhamdulillah, Allah returned it. So he could have played. Since Allah took the soul of Isa alayhi salam, that's what He says in the Quran, and he did not die, implication is Allah returned the soul. The third thing that the Quran says is, وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. Allah made it appear unto them that He was crucified, that He died. How did Allah perform this tashbih? Tashbih, to replace one thing with another, or to replace one person with another. Tashbih. Some scholars of Islam, influenced by the Gospel of Barnabas, which came out of the Vatican of all places, they have come to the conclusion that Allah replaced one person with another. And so, someone was crucified, yes, but it was not Isa alayhi salam. Somebody else was crucified, and that poor fellow, Allah caused him to get the appearance of Isa alayhi salam, and he was crucified. Whoever wants to entertain that belief should prepare to defend yourself when you come before Allah. Just prepare yourself to defend that when you stand before Allah, because you see that Allah did something. Alright? Okay? The other possibility is Allah replaced one thing with another, namely wafat, but not wafat al-maut. Took the soul, it looked like death. Returned the soul, it was not marked. And then number 5, Allah says, بَلْ رَفَعَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ. Allah raised it onto Himself. So Isa alayhi salam did not experience Maut. But in the Quran Allah says, كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. Every soul, including the son of Mary, every soul must taste Maut. And Isa alayhi salam did not experience Maut. The implication is that he has to return. And when he returns, he has to die like everybody else must die. The Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he gave 10 signs the last day. This hadith is in Sahih Bukhari, it is in Sahih Muslim. I try as best as I can, when lecturing on Islam, to base my lecture on the Quran, so they can't attack me. No. And to base my lectures on the hadith, and as much as possible use a hadith which are muttafaqun alayh, both Bukhari and Muslim. Some of them are uncomfortable even with the hadith which is muttafaqun alayh. They don't like it. This hadith is muttafaqun alayh. Islam didn't come from them. Islam came from Allah and His Messenger. Listen to what he says. 10 major signs. Number 1. Al-Masih al-Dajjal. Number 2. Gog and Magog. Number 3, the return of the son of Mary. Not the son of a Punjabi woman. Mirza Ghulam, but the son of a Punjabi woman. But admit, Jesus was come back, son of Mary. Number 4, Dukhan, smoke. Number 5, the Badul Ard, creature of the earth. Number 6, the sun will rise from the west. Number 7, 8, and 9, 3 movements of the earth opening and swallowing like clothes, one in the east, one in the west, and the third one, Arabia. And number 10, a fire will come out of Yemen. See, these lectures should not be after Isha. They're tired already. A fire which will come out of Yemen. And this fire will drive people to their place of assembly. So you're talking about a revolutionary fire coming out of Yemen. After these 10 signs, the Quran singles out one of the 10 as the major one, namely the return of Isa alayhi salam. وَإِنَّهُ لَعِلْمٌ لِلسَّاعَةِ. That he, Isa alayhi salam, he is the sign of all signs of the last day. And the Prophet alayhi salam gave detailed information of when Isa alayhi salam will return and what he will do when he returns. But let's go back now. They boasted. We killed him. Allah explained, no, they did not succeed. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave his statement, which is of pivotal importance for understanding this subject. I took a long time before I understood this ayah. A long time. Listen to what he says. Surah An-Nisa. وَإِن مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ إِلَّا لَيُؤْمِنَنَّ بِهِ قَبْلَ مَوْتِهِ وَيَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ يَكُونُ عَلَيْهِمْ شَهِيدًا. What does it mean? Every single one of them, of Ahlul Kitab, Jews and Christians, at that time when Isa alayhi salam returns, every single one of them will now have to believe in him. Every Jew will have the veils removed from his eyes and will now have to believe that this is indeed the Messiah. And every Christian will have the veils removed from his eyes and will have to recognize this is Jesus alayhi salam, and he's not the Son of God. He's not the third person in a Trinity. He's not God incarnate. He is exactly what Muhammad alayhi salam said that he was: a prophet, a messenger of Allah. But after the Jews now believe in him as the Messiah, and the Christians now believe in him as a prophet of Allah, the Quran goes on to say that he will give evidence against them in the day of judgment. And when he gives evidence against them, into the hellfire they will go. So it will now be too late for them. Too late to now accept him as the Messiah and to receive the blessings of that day. It is too late now to have faith. The Prophet ﷺ and the Quran explain to us what happened after that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala threw them out of the Holy Land. And when he threw them out of the Holy Land, it was a Roman army this time. The first time Babylonian army, this was a Roman army. Surah Al-A'raf, وَقَطَّعْنَاهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ أُمَمًا, broke them up into bits and pieces and scattered them all over the world. Jews in Argentina, Jews in China, Jews in Spain, Jews in Yemen. This is the Quran speaking, not me. This is the Quran. I should have the freedom to quote the Quran, should I not? وَقَطَّعْنَاهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ أُمَمًا. We broke them up into bits and pieces. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declared, Surah Al-Anbiya, that He placed a ban on them, they can never return. وَحَرَامٌ عَلَى قَرْيَةٍ أَهْلَكْنَاهَا أَنَّهُمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ. They can never return to the Holy Land to reclaim it. Never. Allah banned it. Until, however, a certain moment arrives in time, then they will be able to come back. What is that moment? إِذَا فُتِحَتْ يَأْجُوجُ وَمَأْجُوجُ. When God and Magog are released. Do you see how important it is? Guess how many people there are in the world today who are teaching the subject of God and Magog? Guess how many? And this is so important. حَتَّى إِذَا فُتِحَتْ يَأْجُوجُ وَمَأْجُوجُ. When God and Magog are released, then you will see these people coming back to the Holy Land. Hadith al-Qudsi. These are the direct words of Allah. I have created creatures of mind so powerful that none but I can destroy them. Sahih Muslim. And so they have a power which is indestructible. Only Allah can destroy them. So when they are released, وَهُمْ مِنْ كُلِّ حَدَبٍ يَنْزِلُونَ, they will descend upon the world from every height. So they take control of the world. Take control of the world. You cannot destroy their power. They will rule the world. When they are released, I wish we could explain that to Kalanta. They will rule the world when they are released. You cannot destroy their power. You cannot defeat them. When God and Magog are released, then you will see Banu Israel returning to the Holy Land. But God and Magog don't have faith in Allah. God and Magog are essentially godless, and they commit fasad on the earth. They corrupt the earth. They corrupt everything. So these are godless, wicked, corrupt people. And they would be the means through which Banu Israel will return to the Holy Land. And the state of Israel will be restored. That would be Allah's blessings. I mean, say, you have to be one-eyed to believe that. People with two eyes meaning external eye and internal eye, they will see. This is not from Allah. This is not the return of Zaman Mas, the golden age. The Prophet ﷺ informed us, not only would Allah release Ya'juj and Ma'juj, through whom Banu Israel will return to the Holy Land, but Allah will send someone known as Al-Masih al-Dajjal. Dajjal who would impersonate the Messiah. In previous lectures, I have dealt with the subject in some detail at Masjid Abdul Alim Siddiqui, Rahimahullah. I gave a lecture on this subject, and they made a CD. So that CD is, I believe, outside, and they're using that CD, the sales, to help build in front of the masjid, to people buy that CD. So that the funds may go to the masjid, and you may also be able to listen to the whole lecture on Al-Masih al-Dajjal. But briefly, Dajjal has to impersonate the Messiah. If Dajjal is to impersonate the Messiah, then what does he have to do? Number one, he has to liberate the Holy Land of non-Jewish rule. Then the Jews will believe. Number two, he has to bring Bani Israel back to the Holy Land. Number three, help me, he has to restore the state of Israel. And the Jews have to believe this is the Israel of Sulaiman alayhi salam. And number four, what's number four? Number four, he has to take that Israel to become the ruling state in the world. When Israel becomes the ruling state in the world, then he has to appear as a human being, a Jew, and now he has to rule the world from Jerusalem. When he has done that, then the Dajjal will rub his hands and he will say, mission accomplished. I've done the job. I wonder how far he's reached. I wonder how far he's reached and how much more he still has left to do. Do you know there are scholars of Islam in the world today who still would not say that we are living in the age of Dajjal? Number one, the Holy Land has been liberated. Number two, the Jews are back in the Holy Land. Singapore knows that, don't they? Number three, the state of Israel has been restored. So only number four left now. Israel has to become the ruling state in the world. It is my opinion, you don't have to accept it. No, it is my opinion. That event is going to come within the next 5 to 10 years. Israel is going to become the ruling state in the world. When that happens, then those who are my critics say, I'm misleading the people. We must stop this man. On that day, they're going to have a few problems. When Israel becomes the ruling state in the world, it will be clear that what I interpreted was correct. Well, then where is Dajjal? Hadith is, when Dajjal is released, he will live on earth for 40 days, one day like a year, one day like a month, one day like a week, and the rest of his days like your days. Sahih Muslim. It is when his day is like our day that he will be in our dimension of time. At that time, you see it, human being. At that time, said the Prophet ﷺ, when he attacks us, he will come from the east. 20 times he pointed his fingers to the east. East of Medina is east of Hijaz, that is Najd, not Japan. But where will he be when he's released? In a day which is like a year. Another hadith in Sahih Muslim, the hadith of Tamim al-Dari. Tamim al-Dari, the Christian who became a Muslim. And he came to the Prophet ﷺ, told him something, and then the Prophet said to the people, sit down after the Salah. Tamim al-Dari came and told me something about Dajjal which confirms what I've been saying to you. And then he narrated. Tamim Dari and some 40 of his companions went on board a ship. Tamim Dari does not say whether this was a vision, a ruqya, or this was an actual event. We don't know. We went on board a ship and then the storm came. And the storm blew the ship for a whole month. If you're on the western coast of Arabia, then I would eliminate the Red Sea, only the Mediterranean. Because the whole month we never reached land. Then we came to an island. And when we got on the shore, we met an animal, or a creature, sorry. And this creature was so hairy, so much hair you couldn't tell which side was head and which side was tail. So on this island there are those who conceal their true identity. And then that creature said, I am Jassas, meaning a spy. Muslims don't spy on Muslims. Only rats do that. I am Jassas, spy. So this is an island which has a PhD in spying, in espionage, in intelligence work. Then Jassas said, over there pointing to a monastery, Christian monastery, there's someone waiting for you. So we know this is a Christian island. When they went to the monastery, they met a man powerfully built, curly hair. But his hands were chained to his neck and his feet were chained. And this man started to ask them many questions. As the Nabi, who is not a Jew, Nabi who is an Ummi, as he arrived in Medina, they said yes. How are the people responding? Some are believing, some are not. He said, it would be good for them if they would follow him. And then he asked, among the other questions, he asked about the Sea of Galilee, which is the major source of water in the Holy Land. The Palestinians depend on that for water. Jordan depends on that for water. Is there any water left there? They said, plenty. He said, I don't think it will last for long. And then he says, I am Dajjal. I am Dajjal. And when I am released, I will enter every town and every city. But he didn't mention Kabul. He didn't mention Kabul. He said every town and every city. But he will not be able to enter Makkah and Medina. That is when he is a human being now attacking. Because the angels will guard Makkah and Medina. And so now we know from this hadith that when Dajjal is released and he begins his mission to impersonate the Messiah, it is from this island that he will launch that mission. Which island is it? Which island is it? There must be an answer to that question. Because this is hadith. You cannot run away from that question. Which island is it? I have an answer. You're free to differ with me. But if you differ with me, you must tell me which island it is. I won't allow you to get away. My answer? In 1917, the British government issued the Balfour Declaration. That it is the policy of the British government. Remember, this is a secular Britain. Secular, godless Britain, no longer Christian. Nobody would go to church anymore in Britain. But it is the policy of British government to work for the establishment of a Jewish national home in Pakistan. I wonder why. What does this have to do with Britain? That's 1917. In 1919, British Army, led by a British general, General Allenby, with Arabs fighting faithfully under the British general, and Indians from India, Punjabis, fighting faithfully. That British army defeated the Turkish army and liberated Jerusalem and the Holy Land, meaning liberated it from non-Jewish rule. And so number one is accomplished. From 1919 to 1948, Britain ruled over the Holy Land in what was known as a mandate conferred upon it by the League of Nations. In 1948, during this period of time, the Jews are coming back to the Holy Land. The Jews are coming back to the Holy Land. And in 1948, Britain now acts as the midwife for the baby to be born, the state of Israel. And so three are already accomplished. Number one, the Holy Land is liberated. Number two, the Jews are brought back to the Holy Land. Number three, the state of Israel is restored. And so my answer is that the island referred to in Sahih Muslim, in the hadith of Tamim al-Dari, that island is Britain. But you don't have to accept my opinion. No. If you differ with me, however, no matter who you are, I demand you cannot just differ with me. You must say which island it is. While the child is in Britain, in a day which is like a year, Britain is the ruling state in the world. But then suddenly and strangely, Britain is replaced by another country. And that country becomes the ruling state in the world. And that country also has this mysterious relationship with the Holy Land and with the state of Israel. Feeding it, making it strong and healthy. $7 billion every year in aid to Israel. All the most sophisticated military hardware that there are. F-16s and F-15s and cruise missiles and tomahawks and whatever it is given to Israel. This country takes over from Britain as the ruling state of the world. Which country? America. The United States of America. When did it take over? We know at the time of the Second World War, when the Allied troops were fighting Hitler, it was an American general which was the commander-in-chief of the Allied forces, not a British. Who was he? Come on. Masjid Darul Aman. Who is he? General Dwight Eisenhower. An American was the commander-in-chief, not British. So the writing is on the wall. And then after the war ended in 1945, in Bretton Woods, when they wanted to construct a new international monetary order, which currency is chosen as the ruling currency in the world? Sterling? No. US dollar. Which city is chosen as the financial capital of the world? London? No. Washington. The IMF is in Washington, the World Bank is in Washington. So the writing is on the wall. This is now the ruling state of the world, no longer Britain. And then in 1956, when Gamal Abdel Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal, some of you were not born yet, never mind. Gamal Abdel Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal and threw the British out and the French out. And the British and the French and Israel now responded with a secret alliance, and they kept the US out. And they attacked Egypt. And the Israeli army took the whole of Sinai and came straight to Suez Canal. What did Eisenhower do? He said to Israel, go back. And the Israeli army had to withdraw. He said to Britain and France, go back. And the British and the French armies had to withdraw. And the British government fell. The Prime Minister was Anthony Eden. He had to resign. So it was clear that the United States of America is now the super state, the ruling state in the world. This is the child in a year which is like a month. But you don't have to accept what I say. It's my opinion. If you differ with me, however, you must tell me where he is. And then comes the third stage, when the United States will no longer be the ruling state in the world. You think the foreign ministries and they know about this? You think the ministers of foreign affairs know about this? No, they don't. We who have the Quran and we who have Muhammad we know about it. They don't know about it. Will you follow them or will you follow the Quran? Will you follow them or will you follow Muhammad? Tonight the choice is yours. When will that happen? When will the United States have to yield to a new ruling state? And which ruling state will it be? The answer is clear. In order for the Dajjal to fulfill his mission, the ruling state in the world will have to be Israel. Will have to be Israel. How will it happen? How can you bring down the United States of America, the most powerful country in history? The answer is you have to do two things. Number one, you have to give a display of military power, military might. Take control of territory. And that's coming. The visit of Ariel Sharon to Masjid al-Aqsa last September was a deliberate act of provocation. There's a book written by a Saudi sheikh. His name is Sheikh Safar al-Khawali. And that book is on the internet. And Sheikh Safar argues, and he argues brilliantly. He said this was a deliberate act of provocation to try to get the fires lighting. And every time the fires appear to be cooling down, they want to kill someone else, target someone else, assassinate him, so that the fires will keep on burning, until the time comes when it is opportune. All the countries around Israel are now talking a very ferocious language to appease domestic sentiment. And then Israel will use this as cause as better. And then Israel will launch that war. Not only on the Palestinians, but the whole region. And the state of Israel will now expand. And when that happens, the United States, George Bush, probably if he's still there, would say to Israel, go back. As Brian Eisenhower said, go back. But this time Israel will say to the President of the United States, get lost. Get lost. It's coming. It's coming. And then the Security Council of the United Nations will meet in Manhattan. You know, I conduct the Jummah at the United Nations. I have been doing that for the last 10 years. The headquarters of the UN in Manhattan in New York, I conduct Jummah there for the last 10 years now. I have all the diplomats, all the ambassadors, all of them sitting out there in front of me in my Jummah. So the Security Council will say, withdraw. Israel will say to the Security Council, get lost. If the whole world combined cannot force Israel to withdraw, Israel has become the ruling state. But in order to take over from the United States, you need to do something else. You need to cripple this giant. You cannot cripple him militarily, but you will cripple him financially. Yes. At that time, the entire international monetary system will collapse. The Jews will bring it down. All the paper money in the world, this is wallpaper. Do they know about this? The people who run the Ministry of economic affairs, planning development. The people who are the finance ministers around the world, do you really know about this? The answer is no, they don't know about it. Do we? Yes, because we have the Quran and we have Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. The choice is yours. Who will you turn to for guidance? Them or the Quran? Them or Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam? The choice is yours. When the international monetary system collapses and that paper could only be used as wallpaper, who will be the major beneficiary? The answer is the state of Israel. Who would lose the most? The answer is that country whose paper is used as the international currency. The US dollar. That is the one who will suffer the most. When you cannot use paper as money anymore, what will you use as money? The answer is those who would have control over gold, they will now rule the world. And that is precisely what the Jews are doing, taking control of the gold. When they control the gold and they control the banking system, then they will now issue money. What kind of money? Plastic money. It's already coming. It's already coming. They will now issue money, plastic money. And every time you use that plastic money for conducting a transaction, whatever it may be, even if you want to buy a roti canai, plastic, they will now have a record, a total and a complete financial record of everybody. So they will control you with that knowledge and information. They will control you. What do? The Prophet ﷺ prophesied. He said the day will come when nothing will be of value as money except a dinar and a dirham, a gold coin and a silver coin. And so what we do is we establish the Muslim village. You have to look for land where land is cheap. Not possible in Singapore. Look for land where land is cheap. Out of the city. Out of the city. Go to the countryside. And there where rain falls, there you must build your Muslim community. No one is stopping you. No one will stop you. And in that Muslim community, you have the market. I call it the micro market. And in that micro market, you use rare money, gold and silver. One Muslim leader in the world has now begun to speak about gold as money. It is a pity that he had to speak about it so late in the day, after he had been Prime Minister for 20 years. I'm talking about the Prime Minister of Malaysia, who is now talking about gold as money. But you see, better late than never. At least there's one. You think President of Pakistan is talking about this? No. You think the President of Egypt is talking about this? No. Only the Prime Minister of Malaysia is saying we must use the Islamic dinar and it should be made of gold, not of paper. This is what he said. In order to counteract the advantage that the United States has of the use of the US dollar as the international currency. So when that display, that magnificent, dazzling display of military might on the part of Israel takes place, that is the time that they will bring down the international monetary system. And then the giant will be crippled, the United States of America, financially crippled. And then one day like a week will begin. This is not going to be for a long period of time. It's one day like a week. It is at this time that the Dajjal will eventually emerge as the ruler of the world from Jerusalem. And the guy will rub his hands and say, mission accomplished. But who God and Magog? Because it is only when God and Magog are released, only then that you see Banu Israel coming back to the Holy Land. Only then would you see the state of Israel being restored. Who are God and Magog? Now, you are a people who think. So let us do some thinking tonight. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, Europe didn't have any religion. Europe lived as wild tribes. Okay? And then shortly after that, Europe became Christian. But when Europe became Christian, Europe acted strangely, mysteriously. Europe acted in a way different from all other Christians. Europe is obsessed with liberating the Holy Land. No other Christians are like that, only Europe. And so Europe launches the Crusades. This is a European phenomenon. It has nothing to do with the rest of the Christian world, only Europeans. The Crusades to liberate the Holy Land. And then when they launch these Crusades, they have to pass through the territory of the whole of Christians. That's the Byzantine Empire, Constantinople. And when they're passing through the territory of their brother Christians, they fight them. They fight them, they're wicked. And then when they reach Jerusalem, and they finally succeed in winning Jerusalem, liberating it, what do these warriors for the heavens do? They kill everybody. They slaughter everybody. Men and women, old men and old women, children, babies. Europe slaughters everybody. So the rest of the Christian world now looks at them and says, are these Christians? Is this the way Christians should behave? Something is wrong here. This is not the way a people should behave if they are a holy mission, a sacred mission to liberate the Holy Land. And then one day, in the same mysterious way that Europe embraced Christianity, Europe threw it away. Israel threw it away. And now Europe is essentially godless, or in secularism is godlessness. They have no religion. But even after Europe becomes godless, secular, the new Europe still has this strange obsession with the Holy Land. Imagine Britain in 1917 declaring that it is our policy to work for the establishment of a Jewish national home in Palestine. What is it that explains this strange obsession of first Christian Europe and then secular godless Europe? And the story has not ended. Europe also becomes Jewish. This is where the drama is in it. Europe becomes Jewish. But wait a minute. To be a Jew, you have to descend from Ibrahim alayhi salam. You have to be seed of Ibrahim alayhi salam, that you are Banu Israel. But these are not from Ibrahim alayhi salam. These are blue-eyed, blonde-haired European people. And they embrace Judaism. And then when they become Jews, these Europeans also have this strange obsession with the Holy Land. They now establish the Zionist movement. And the mission of the Zionist movement is to liberate the Holy Land. And eventually, it is liberated. Allah says in the Quran, they will not be able to return to the Holy Land to rebuild until Gog and Magog are released. Over 1,000 years, Europe pursued that mission to liberate the Holy Land and bring the Jews back. Europe was Christian, then Europe was Jewish, then Europe was secular and godless. The answer is, this is the civilization of God and Magog, European civilization. When Gog and Magog are released, they will descend from every height and take control of the world. Europe did precisely that, took control of the world. But maybe one day we get a chance to do a lecture on this subject of Gog and Magog. Now then, it is when the child emerges in a day which is like our day. It is then that the fireworks really begin. Because there is oppression in the Holy Land. Oppression. And the prophet speaks and he says, this is after the Jews have lived amongst us for 1300 years. When nobody else could take them, we took them. We gave them freedom. We protected them for 1300 years.